Well, this is the one and only Shirley Raines.
Yeah.
Shirley, you ain't know because you too fine to have these headphones on, but that was a round of applause.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Honey, the crowd went up. I went up and did a shimmy. But this is Shirley Raines, and all I can think of that Kirk Franklin track, rain down on me, rain down
on me.
Oh, but in the same essence, just like how God rains down blessings, you are raining down blessings to people. I don't want to say who are homeless, who are experiencing homelessness, who are experiencing encampment.
Why do you want to say that?
Because, I spoke with somebody. I'm on the metro myself right now, and even biking and running across, coming in contact. And this gentleman, I was like, oh, are you homeless? He said, no, I'm in encampment. Okay. And he viewed it as that was based on, I guess, this one individual viewed it as a way of, I guess it was like a judgment or a slander. And I said, okay, I receive you. Because it wasn't for him. It wasn't, I want to say, a condition and not his state of being or essence. But does it mean the same thing? Perhaps. But I wanted to make room to say, okay, encampment.
Yeah, I feel like, and I hear that a lot, and I don't feel like it has anything to do with the word.
So you don't think it's like an identity people refer to as homelessness? Because like that's how you identify.
No,
versus your condition is homelessness.
I feel like when we're arguing about a word, I feel like the argument of trying to find a proper word for an ugly situation should not even be. That's like saying she was violated, she was taken advantage of. No, she was raped. Let's not try to find a pretty word for an ugly situation. So my whole argument is this: why are we worried about what we call them when how we're treating them is this way? It doesn't matter
hold
what
on.
you
They
say.
don't know. Wait, Shirley, they got to know who you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Glory. Well, we're coming in hot. Okay, so I got Shirley Raines. Shirley Raines is founder and executive director of Beauty to the Streetz, a nonprofit organization that aims to serve the homeless by providing necessities alongside the things that make us feel inherently human. A hot shower, a hearty meal, the hope-inducing feeling of looking in the mirror and loving what you see. Raines and her nonprofit, Beauty to the Streetz, has been a stronghold on Los Angeles Skid Row since 2017, providing food, clothing, and hair and makeup services weekly to hundreds of people. As of now, her organization has focused their efforts in Long Beach. Currently, they are partnered with Cal State Long Beach, helping them stock their food pantry, and is also working to get a food truck on campus a few times a week to support unhoused students. Vitamin D family, you better send them radio waves and welcome Miss Shirley Raines. Hey, okay, so now we started.
Okay, thank you, Vitamin D family, for having me, and thank you, Dawn.
Oh, Dawn, like the break of day. You better catch it while it's high. Okay, guys. Okay, so I told you about Shirley. Shirley and I, we actually met. Oh my gosh, and I shared bits and pieces with you all about me being on Front Page. But we met on Front Page, and I had her come in because I saw this woman out on social media passing out food. I said, producer Vonnie, who is this? And then now, since the interview on KJLH 102.3, owned by the legendary Living Treasure, Detroit's own Stevie Wonder, Jeremiah made it privy, like, one, I called myself, you were on stage with Lizzo? Hold up, sis. I don't even want to jump to the next thing. Girl, you outside.
Listen, that was a secret that I had to hold on to for a couple of months.
So you was in my face at KJLH.
Girl,
and you knew you was going to be on the stage.
I couldn't tell anybody. Listen, that was an amazing honor.
What was that about? Tell me
that
more.
was Lizzo accepting the People Choice Award, the PCAs, and she's a really sweet person. Lizzo has worked with us before. That's not my first time meeting Lizzo. Lizzo has actually had us come to her house and pick up clothing.
Fall back, sis.
Yeah.
How did you get in contact with Lizzo?
Lizzo actually reached out to me. She did a post about us one time, and I was working in Skid Row, and all of a sudden my phone just would not stop vibrating. And I was like, where is all this coming from? And I went to TikTok, and Lizzo had actually did a post about me and shared.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Would you like a honey bun cupcake or Twinkies?
You could choose one, but it don't matter.
Well, I want you to be happy with it. So you choose. Which one do you like? The honey bun. Okay, my love.
Today I'm going to be donating to Beauty to the Streetz, who was founded by Shirley Raines, who is an incredible person who is helping homeless people get food and hygiene supplies and just helps them feel seen. I'm going to just boost this and post about it because I think, it's important to share goodness like this in the world. Black owned and run goodness like this that's helping people of color and people in need. If you want this to be your intentional act of anti-racism today, go ahead and donate. I'm going to put the link in the caption. Thank you, Shirley Raines.
And she encouraged people to donate to us, a Black-run nonprofit. And I got tens of thousands of boxes of donations. Lizzo donated money, and it just was a whirlwind. I thanked her, and that was the end of it. And later we had a need for plus-size clothing, and Lizzo was cleaning out her closet. So she hit us up and said, hey, come to my house and pick up the clothing. So they put every single thing on a hanger and gave us all of her clothing, girl, everything. Stuff I had seen her on TikTok with. I'm like, I seen Lizzo wearing this.
It's something, it stood out to me because I've donated.
What?
You said on a hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I think of people are donating clothes, they throwing it in a bag.
Yes, ma'am.
Bunching it in a bag.
We usually get them
You
like
said
that.
she hung it on a hanger.
First time we ever got donations on a hanger.
Okay, go ahead. That's all I want.
Yeah, she put every single item on a hanger and didn't have us go to her assistant's house or anything. Had us pull up to her house.
Because she said, I'm a real person.
A real person. So we'd already connected, and I thanked her in the DMs, and she said, you're welcome. And so when this honor came up for her, she wanted to shed light on some people who she felt deserved the spotlight. 17 amazing people. I got to meet Breonna Taylor's mom. Tamika was there, and she's amazing.
This is at the house or when you guys were on stage?
This is at the on stage. Tamika was part of the 17.
See, I only saw clips.
Yeah, Tamika was there. Breonna's mom, she's a girl. This queen is so strong. We had. Girl, she's hilarious. Girl, I spend my days where she's hilarious. Girl, all 17 were amazing. Yeah, but Tamika was there, and it was just amazing meeting her. It was such an honor just to be in the presence of all these women. And I don't feel like it's hard for me to receive those things because, like I said, I'm just following instructions. There's literally a book that tells you you're supposed to help people. I didn't make this up. I didn't create it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's hard to receive that. But when you sit in a room with people like that and you hear stories and you get to be on stages like that, I think it just reaffirms, that you're on the right track.
Because they say birds of a feather flock together. And if you see fruits blossoming upon you, that means you're on the right block. It takes somebody that thinks that they're less than to get jealous of someone else. Just because God is blessing somebody next to you, don't you got enough sense to say God is in the neighborhood?
You better say
you in the right room at the right time. Don't let your ego get you.
They say
the fastest way, the best thing you need to have on your way to your ego is some knee pads.
That part right there.
Because you're falling on your knees.
That part.
But you don't hear me though.
That part.
So the fact that you are amongst all these great women, what does that say about you?
You know what? I am a very grounded person. It's very hard for me to receive and take compliments, especially for this work. One thing me and Tamika talked about a lot, one thing I feel like is one of these things is not like the other. Like I have, 7 million followers. I'm considered an influencer, but I couldn't even influence my baby daddy to marry me, girl. I'm not an influencer.
That was so real. And you coming in and I want to explore, but we got to go here.
I'm an activist.
Thank you for wow.
I'm an activist. And so it's hard to be in those spaces and receive that because I feel like a lot of times it's the messenger who gets the praise while the message gets pushed to the back. And I always have said pay attention to the message and not the messenger. That's why when people fault me for my habits, I'm like, you shouldn't be looking at what I'm doing behind the scenes in my life. Pay attention to my message.
Hello, somebody.
My roots are firmly planted. Our fruit is good. You could tell a tree by its fruits. I was telling Big T this in the car ride home. Up here, and when people seem to look at me and judge me because I don't fit this image of what they think.
Come on.
Someone like me who does the work I'm doing is supposed to fit. Then it's like, okay, then they have a problem with it. But no, my fruit is good, which means my roots are in good soil. You know what I'm saying? And then again, I keep saying, don't pay attention to me. I'm the messenger. The message is completely different.
So you keep talking about this message. What's the impact what have you seen with the impact of your message? What is your message doing, Miss Raines?
I hope my message is helping
we ain't
people.
hoping. We're here to affirm, to speak what it is, not what it ain't, what it could be, what it is.
Well, from what I see in my DMs on social media, it is helping people to move in their own community, and shed a light on homelessness and shed a light on the people who are experiencing homelessness, what they're going through. It's humanizing people. People were I think it's when they come in and found our nonprofit, we provide choices. You want your
Choices.
hair done. We don't put food in the bag. I don't have to eat it. Just because you're homeless, just because you don't have four-wall structures, doesn't mean you should eat meat if you're a vegetarian. It doesn't mean you should eat sugar if you're diabetic. It doesn't mean your standards change just because your circumstances change. So they have a right to keep those same standards without those circumstances, but people think that they don't.
Catch it.
Sometimes they think they negate those, but why? But why? We've all
And
fallen
what you're
short.
referring to is your organization entitled Beauty to the Streets.
Correct.
When did you start this organization again?
Gosh, I think it was like around 2016 or something.
20,
like
I said 17, but about 2016, 17?
Beginning of 17, correct. And I just started going out. It wasn't really an organization. I was going out with another nonprofit, Polly's Project, in the back streets of Los Angeles. And
Where's the back streets of LA?
Behind Skid Row, there's so Skid Row is a 55-block radius where there encompasses like about 8,000 homeless people in that 55-block radius.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really dangerous place. So you got some people who are vets, you got LGBTQ, trans community, people who don't want to stay in that population. So they kind of...
Hold on, wait. You said dangerous. Weren't you on a drive-by?
Oh, girl, yeah.
Was it there?
Oh, yeah, girl.
You said dangerous, but that's
But that's not... Girl, that's life. I'm from Compton.
Wait, what happened? You're doing good work down there. Somebody tried to shoot you?
You know what? It's the streets.
No,
tempers
what
are
do you
flared.
mean by that? Like I haven't been in a drive-by. So when you lit, what does that mean? Like you're talking to somebody and then somebody came spraying bullets?
Yeah, basically we were walking down the street and something happened and, gunfire arose and we were just on the block and serving at that time. And of course it's
You were
traumatizing.
serving?
Yes.
You were doing the work?
Yes.
And are you sure? How do you know that you were the target?
We weren't. I don't think we were.
But
We just were in the
still.
wrong place, wrong time.
But that could have been somebody's baby.
It could have been, and that's
Or
why
that
we have,
mother that was trying to get from this abusive
Absolutely.
relationship. Or perhaps somebody that fell into some depression.
It could, and that sounds dangerous. But let me say this: I've been doing this work for 7 years. That's the first time. How many shootings have you heard about at a school?
Come on.
Or at the bank,
Talking.
or at Walmart,
Catch it.
or at Costco,
Who ready to
or on the
talk?
buses,
Huh?
or at people's homes.
Yo.
There's more shootings in those places in Skid Row. So while this sounds dangerous and it looks violent, and I think it looks worse than it is because you got
that
this
environment, that image I've painted.
Yes, and then you got this nonprofit serving and these good people.
The
and
dramatics.
The dramatics
And then
of it
me
all.
adding on to it.
Yeah, but it's the same dramatics of what happens
Anywhere
behind the
else.
closed doors that we don't see. The same dramatics of what happens in the church and every place else we go. So this is why I want people to see it's happening everywhere. Am I scared of Skid Row? I'm more scared to walk into a Costco because I don't know who's upset that day.
So you still go down to Skid Row serving?
We do not. We
Why?
do not.
Because is it based on the shooting or?
It is protection for my team. It's not just me. I have to consider. We are a nonprofit. We have a full team now. And, I have a full team and I have a family and I've grown a lot, and the spirit will move you when you need to move. And sometimes you just have to accept that there's a closing to every opening,
Catch it.
and I feel like it was a time to move on and look at, we've got the colleges now. We've got good fruit going on. So sometimes breaks are needed. I love Skid Row dearly.
Okay.
I've loved the men in my life dearly, but they've been very dangerous for me and I've had to leave them.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you-
love means you got to leave some dangerous things.
I say sometimes the greatest form of love is letting go.
Is letting
And I learned that
go.
with my mom's transition. But hold on, you talked about the back streets of LA. Give it to me. You said that now you're on the back streets of LA working, which is behind.
Yeah, behind Skid Row, where some of the elderly are. In Polly's Project, he goes back there and he feeds and brings clothing and all those things.
Pauly's Project.
Polly's Project. Yes, it's a nonprofit that's been in Skid Row in Los Angeles for a very long time. So I came up under Polly's Project.
Oh.
And the women in the trans community and everybody began to compliment me on my hair, my makeup, my earrings. And I think my third time out with him, I'm like, do you guys want these things? Because it sounded like they were hinting. They were like, yeah, if you could. So I brought makeup. The next time I came, I had sample makeup. I had a lot. And I brought some hair colors I wasn't using. And then the next Sunday I went out with Paul. They didn't have the makeup on or their hair wasn't done. I'm like, you didn't like it? They're like, well, we didn't have a mirror. We don't have water. I'm like, oh, well, let me bring some water. So I went to Target and I bought a fold-up chair and I bought an igloo container and I bought some red Solo cups and I began to just boil water at home and I would drag it with me and I would wash their hair in chairs and I would
Wow.
take grocery bags, like trash bags, and tie them around as smocks. And I was slowing him down a little bit because he was like, okay, I'm ready to go to the next block and feed. I'm like, hey, maybe I'll come out here on a day when you don't come, like on a Saturday. He was like, oh, that would be good. And they started calling me the makeup lady, and young kids used to come and try to get makeup from me in the back streets.
Really?
I'm like, where are y'all all at? They're like, well, we in Skid Row. I'm like, well, let me go over there and take care of y'all. And so that's how I ended up in Skid Row. And that's how I ended up doing my own thing. And then I took to social media. I'm like, oh, look, y'all, I need more help. Like, everybody want makeup and hair, and I don't have no money. And I took to social media. I'm like, well, maybe I should, like, make my name something that I do. I'm like, I'm going to change my name to Beauty to the Street. And I did that. And I was just doing my thing. And then I think I was turning 50, and this lady hit me in my DM. She's like, hey, I have a birthday present for you.
You said what?
What? Jesus, scare me. Oh my God. I was on the roll.
You tried it.
It is what she tried.
No, you tried
It is what she tried.
You said you were turning 50.
I'm about to be 55 on the 29th of this
damn
month.
lie.
My birthday is December 29th.
You was a damn lie.
1967.
You lying.
I'm
listen,
black.
listen. No, ma'am. No. It's very rare that you can get me like this. You want to know? Because numbers speak to me. I see numbers. See, I didn't have to read it because your energy, your vibrance is so vulnerable that it's not like, ooh, let me guess. But yo, what? You're still sitting. You're holding.
Yeah. To God be the glory.
What is this?
It could be T.
I need to readjust my life. First of all, I told you she come in here with some emeralds. I mean, luscious like a gem. Her hair. The lashes are whispering to dreams that only angels could speak.
Oh, come on now, Queen.
Okay? And then it radiates this golden eyeshadow that kisses with the orange, almost like the sun. So if you needed to get light, you just look into her eyes. Jen with jewels on her nose and her lips. Oh my gosh, you want to dip, and then she gives it with the hoop.
Girl, don't make me come sit on your lap now. You better stop all this now.
Don't put me in a box.
I ain't had no love in a while. Don't make me come sit on your lap now, girl. I'm starting to get some feelings now. You better stop. You better pull back.
What in the world?
Listen.
Shirley, I know. No, listen, I do not have to give her this life. There's nothing like, this was a genuine reaction.
Yeah, I'll be 55.
Okay, can we get back to the story, Dawn? I'm glad you asked. Okay, so this lady DM'd you. She's like,
I'm turning 50, and she says, I would like to gift you a nonprofit status. I've been following you, and I think you're going to do some good work one day. And I didn't turn down anything free. And I'm like, okay, she was a lawyer. So Dana Cisneros, she remains my lawyer today. And she gifted me my nonprofit status. And with that, she gave me her accountant for a year. She said, me and my husband are going to pay for you to have our accountant for a full year. Yeah, she's like, I think you're going to need this. I think you're doing great work. And I was like, okay. And I kind of just put it in the closet, put it to the side. And then one day I got a call from Good Morning America. And they were like, you need to be a 501c3. Are you? I'm like, oh, wow, that lady gave me that paper. I said, I think I am. And things just shot off from there. And I'm like, let me contact that lady. I'm like, hey, you remember that paper you gave me? And then she became a really good friend, and she's my lawyer for life. And Larry is still my accountant.
wow, look at your
Everything was
gift
given
will
to
make
me.
room for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that? And it's like, it's no secret. Your gift is in giving. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Real quick, somebody is listening. They're like, oh my gosh, what are they talking about? What does she look like? What's your social media so somebody can take a peek while they're sitting in wherever they
Beauty,
doing?
the word beauty, the number 2, and Streetz spelled with a Z on the end. Beauty to the Streetz on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Beauty to Streetz on Twitter, because you don't have enough characters over there.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes, child. But Beauty
Listen,
to
but
the
they can't
Streetz,
hold us back.
They really can't.
Okay. Is there a website or anything?
Yeah, beautytothe.streets.org.
Check it out.
Yes,
You got to
go
catch
check it out, y'all. See what we do out there.
So along with Beauty to the Streets, you got something called Foodie to the Streets.
Foodie
Is that
to
the
the
same?
Streets.
What's that?
It's our food truck. So we were gifted a food truck. We were gifted a grant, and this grant came from a person who wants to remain anonymous.
Okay.
Remain anonymous. Oh my gosh, tongue tied. Remain anonymous. And they gave us $100,000. But here's the thing, and I really like that. They didn't want to give us cash. They wanted to give us something that was sustainable. And, and I'd always wanted a food truck because I felt like I wanted to be able to go feed whenever we could feed, self-sufficient and self-sustaining. And that's what we did with it. So we got Foodie to the Streets. Rick on my team. Listen, I got some manifestors on my team.
Who's Rick?
Rick and Sydney have been with me for the longest on my team. And probably 5 years ago, Rick said, I told him I wanted a food truck. He said, if we ever get it, we got to name it Foodie to the Streets. The minute we got it, he looked at me and said, you got to give it to me. I said, it's yours. It's done. It's done. So Rick named that truck 5 years ago. Real talk. And when we actually, I'm like, I can't believe. He's like, I told you. I knew we would always get one. And we called it Foodie to the Streets.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll be up here getting visions like 2 fish and 5 loaves.
Listen.
Just how you just creating
I
abundance.
got some
It's just
manifestors on my team.
How did you get this team? They just saw you doing
Social
work?
media, yeah.
Social media is powerful.
Yeah,
girl.
I mean, I've had some, it's been a transition and a tough time finding the right people, but God will always do that little sifter and make sure the right people remain. Like when you soak your beans.
And
down
if you
with
ever
filter
wonder, people wonder how you know God, you got to experience God to know God. Things that are unexplainable.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have a testament just says that you had a story. And half the time when we got a testament, that's because we've been tested.
I have been tested to the extreme. I think a lot of times, and that's why I think I have the following I have. I know I have the following I have because
Confidence and knowing.
and my story doesn't, like, what I have doesn't come from a great place. When people are like, I want to be just like you, I'm be careful what you wish for.
What do you mean by
You
that?
know, I would like for people to say, do the things that I do. Don't say you want to be like me. You know what I mean? Because the way I got here is not the way you think I got here. I got here through trauma. I got here through pain. I got here through brokenness. You know what I mean? This wasn't like a lifelong dream to do some work like this. This is taking all of my broken pieces and finding a home for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that home happened to be Beauty to the Streets and the work that I do. So this all comes from a broken place, but that's okay because it allows me to do the work that I do. But it's important to share that story because I think a lot of people are like, I can't wait to get myself together so I can do the work that you do. Who said I'm together? I mean, I'm doing the best I can, but I don't want to create this false image like you see on social media of, people with millions of followers and blue check marks and, going out doing great things and it coming from great places because it makes the people feel like who are struggling that they can't do great things. And I have panic and anxiety disorder. I buried a child. But every day I live with that. I deal with.
You said you bared or buried?
Buried a child. That's how my nonprofit started. I mean, that's how my pain started.
Well, what do you mean by that? What happened?
It was when I was married when I was younger in my 20s and just stupidly gave up my housing for my husband, traveled with him. He went AWOL from the Marines. I ended up pregnant with my daughter and I had my firstborn son. He was his stepfather. And he was, 5 days to his third birthday. And we were just running around with my husband. I made poor choices and gave up my housing. Essentially was homeless myself.
Oh, so you've experienced homelessness.
Yes, but not sleep. Well, yeah, I didn't sleep on the streets physically because I kept walking.
But that's still homeless in the car or at your cousin's couch.
No, I mean, I literally walked the streets all night with my babies covered in a stroller. Like I was, that life for me. So my passion for this was, being in hotels and not having a place for my little boy to play in the backyard. And, the day before I had gone to the doctors to get my, my OBG exam because I was pregnant with my daughter. And he just was so restless, and he got in trouble when he got back to the hotel. And I was like, he needs a backyard. I'm going to send him to my grandmother's, his great grandmother's. She raised me, my life was really broken, but this is a woman who spoke life into me and taught me everything and made me who I am. And I had an uncle who had some, mental problems, and we'd all grown up in the house. We all knew there was medicine in the house. And, even though he was 5 days to his third birthday, he too knew the drill. You don't touch or drink or eat anything unless Nana said so. And, unfortunately that day brought about a lot of anxiety and, I can't even get into it, but I knew there was something wrong that whole day. Like the spirit was just like,
With yourself, your body.
I knew something was wrong with my son. And I'm like, I got a bad feeling. So I called. I'm like, is he okay? And she's like, yeah, he's good. He's playing. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah. I'm like, go check. And she's like, it's fine. Why? I'm like, I just got a bad feeling. And I just couldn't sleep all night, Went to get him the next morning. He was in the backseat of her car. And she's like, oh, he's sleeping. I'm like, oh, that's odd. And my life was, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I was going to get my food stamps. I was on welfare. And I was going to get my food stamps. And I got out the car and he didn't move his head to catch a breath in the seat of the cushion. And something just said, get back in the car and take him to the hospital. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Nana, we need to go to the hospital. My grandma's like, no, he's fine. And, we took him to the hospital and he wasn't fine. And everything in me said he wasn't fine. And he was very tired. And he kept saying he wanted to sleep. And I was like, no, you need to walk and you need to stay awake. And, everything in me was kind of like, well, he's not going to make it, and you're torturing him by walking him. So you should just say everything you need to say now, because this isn't going to end the way you think it's going to end. It was very clear. The instructions were very clear. They were very clear. This was not going to end the way I wanted it to end. So I told him I loved him, and he told me he loved me, and I let him go to sleep on my shoulder, and I walked him in the hospital, and, didn't come back out without him. And had the whole family come, and my husband ended up coming, and everybody was distraught. But I sat there, I don't know, with just like this knowingness that, I don't know, it was in for me anyway. I was going to kill myself when that was over. I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter when that happened. So I didn't really freak out too much, because I thought, I'm not going to live through this. I'll just kill myself when it's over. And, and by the time I had her 3 months later, I forgot to kill myself. I was in such a dark place. It gets a lot darker than suicide. People think suicide is the lowest. If you hang on, it gets a lot darker.
Really?
When I got back to suicide, I was happy. I was like, oh, thank God I'm back. It was a dark, dark place.
Did you get much support from your husband?
I got no support from anyone.
Was he a narcissist?
He was a rapist.
What do you
Turned out
mean?
to be a rapist. Years later, it came out he had raped a 12-year-old. He went to prison. I hadn't married a rapist. He was a rapist.
Did he have any dealings with any of your children?
He did. He did. He raped our youngest daughter.
So how? Okay. So what does that look like now? Your relationship, as far as with your children, understanding the importance of just having a home.
I think, all of those experiences shaped and molded me. Not the one with the husband, because I take no blame for that. You know what I mean? That's his own demons. But certainly giving up stuff for a man, traveling, not keeping my own. You know what I mean? I'm so strong-minded when I see young queens doing stuff like that. Like I understand, partnership, but we have to be very careful, because I too am taking care of women on the street who are married for many years, stay-at-home moms, didn't get a job because hubby said, I'm going to take care of you. He turned 50 and he cashed her in for somebody else, and she's homeless. Their story is nothing more than just depending on a man, because he said, I got this. But unfortunately, you got to get it too.
So let me ask you this. After you found out what he did to your youngest daughter, could you walk away at that moment?
That didn't happen at that time with me. He wasn't with me when that happened.
Okay.
That happened many years later.
So you allowed her to be around?
Nope, never did.
What happened?
He never even saw her. When I got pregnant with her and I found out what he did, I left the state and he never saw her. A family member disagreed and thought that he had a right to see his children.
What?
And sent my children against my will to their dad.
You's a lie.
Oh no. I'm telling you, I've been through it, girl. I can write a book.
You said what?
They sent my child down there. Yeah. I blame myself again. I was experiencing some struggles of homelessness, and the family member said they would take my children in for me, and they did. But when they took my children, they said, you know what? They have a right to be with their dad, and I sent them to be with their dad. I'm like, you what? And before I can get him back, he did what he did, and the police called me, and my daughter was sent back, and she's bipolar to this day.
I can't imagine.
No.
That's a lot of trauma.
Oh, yeah. That's just bits and pieces. That's not even, girl, that's light work right there compared to the other stuff I've been through.
Well, piece by piece,
Yeah.
can make a beautiful picture.
It can, but I mean, that's why I can understand the stories I hear in the street. You know what I mean? Like, people been through some things. Everything ain't, peaches and cream. Some people have suffered extreme circumstances. I know I have. And people counted me out because of that. People told me I wasn't going to rise from that. People thought it was over. I thought it was over for me. I thought there's no way to come back from this. You know what I mean?
But
there's
I
no
always
way to
say-
love again and trust again when you've married someone who's done something so deplorable. You know what I mean? There's no way to have another child when you've buried a child. You know what I mean? Like,
Because there's no replacing.
there's no replacing. People are like, but you overcame that. You became beauty to the street. No. I didn't overcame what? You don't overcome a death of a child. You accept it. I accepted it. I didn't overcome it. I had to accept it. And it took me many years to accept it. And I had to accept it because if not, it was going to kill me. It was going to destroy me inside out.
Well, we're talking about how this inside job has led to some great outside work you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
We got Shirley Raines right here on Vitamin T with Dante. I'm telling you, it's a real conversation.
Yeah.
With a real person right now. We're talking about beauty to the streets and those experiencing homelessness. When we come back, we know that the first Black woman mayor of LA has called a state of emergency on homelessness. But what does that really mean? Yeah, we're going to dive in. We'll be right back. You know, there's power in choice. And I don't often think we realize how much power there is in choice. And I find it so interesting that oftentimes people go around saying that they don't know what they want. That perhaps they're feeling passionless. They don't know what their desires are. I subscribe for that, or I have subscribed to that at times. Or feeling as if I desire or want something, but in hindsight, I had to question, like, Dawn, do you really want it? I say that because if you're in a space and you don't know what it is that you desire or what you want, take a look at your choices. Your choices will tell you what you really desire and what you want out of life. No games, no fronts, no illusions. It is simply what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. So the question becomes, what do you want? What are the decisions? What are the choices that you are making in your life? Now, time ain't gonna stop. It's just gonna keep going tick-tock, bitty-bop. But you, what are you doing with your time? How are you spending your time? Who are you spending your time with? While there's a lot of power in choice, there's a lot of freedom in choice. Are you exercising your freedom to be who it is that you said you wanted to be? Now, you said you wanted to lose weight. Are you working out? Are you eating correctly? Are you sleeping? Are you taking care of yourself? You said that you wanted to be vulnerable and open yourself up for a relationship. Are you being transparent and honest about your feelings? You said you wanted to start this business. Have you went to school? Have you outsourced the resources? Have you started to save? Have you checked out your credit? You said that you wanted to be great. Are you doing the things that great people do? Because great people do things that everyday people don't do. So when it comes down for you to figure out what it is that you desire and what it is that you want, just take a look at your choices. It's right there in front of you. Choose wisely and choose your life. Right before the break, you had shared, I don't have the appropriate words, but things that I feel like no one would want to experience. A death of a child, or even learning that your child had been assaulted, especially by a father, and there was nothing you can do. And the first thing that came to my mind is like, wow, in what you described, where was your choice?
Yeah.
These circumstances didn't give you an option with a choice. And when you came in, one of the first things that we discussed when you talked about beauty to the streets is you said that we want to give those who are experiencing homelessness a choice. Yeah. If you have diabetes, you should not have to eat food that's going to bring up your sugar. If you are vegetarian or vegan, why should you have to eat meat? Options.
Yep. And I had none. I felt like, I think that's where it started. I know that's where it started. The passion comes from my son because I didn't have a choice. I had to accept that. I didn't have a choice if my son died. I didn't have a choice about a lot of things I felt in life. I didn't have a choice what happened to me at 9 years old or 10 or 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 or 16. You know what I mean? So I think it's so empowering. Choices are empowering, and that's why the hair and makeup, even though people don't see those as choices, it is. Like, what color would you like your hair? Like, any choice is empowering. Even if it's just picking your hair color, picking the length of your eyelashes, that's all I could provide back in 2017 and back in those years, just those things. And I took a lot of criticism on social media because people are like, well, that's not important. Well, that's not important. Well, they're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere anyway when you take a shower and sit on the couch, but you want to get up. You have the choice to get up and feel good and look good, and they want that as well.
I mean, I can have a testament. I have been wearing hats for a bit. You know, I have my blonde locks in, and, you know, I went in for a touch-up, and, you know, They say I gotta go. So, they start dwindling. I said, Lord, so I had to put a hat on.
Yeah.
That didn't make me feel good, girl. Got my hair color together, baby.
Yes.
Got in the salon. We're not even finished attaching or, assessing them. But I can't tell you that's probably this energy that you feeling, the excitement I feel. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got my hair up in my ponytail.
Girl.
I don't have a hat on.
Girl.
And it's interesting when individuals aren't feeling the best throughout the day, you
Yes.
go get your nails done.
Egg, that's what I was saying.
You go sit down, put your feet up. I don't care if you drinking your tea. You doing something that just make you feel like you.
Inherently beautiful. That's why I say, if you call a friend right now and say, girl, I lost my job or my man left me, she gonna say, let's go get our nails done. Let's go get our hair done. None of your circumstances have changed. You still don't have a job. Your man still left you, but it's just a little pocket of air. It's just a moment that they're giving you. Just, take that little break. And that's what the homeless need too. People are like, well, you're not getting them off the street. Well, that's not what my mission is about. Beauty to the Street is providing pockets of air. Mm-hmm. Getting the homeless off the street is a city issue. That's not what I provide. I'm just trying to give CPR.
Come on.
Until the real responders come.
Right. No
We're
difference from the paramedics and then the emergency room.
Exactly.
Come on, catch it while
I'm not
it's
the
hot.
lifesaver. I'm the temporary help. I never said I was it. So when people are like, well, you should be doing this instead of this. Nope. I'm doing exactly what my calling is, to go out there and provide life-saving measures, because I didn't have those things. I had to, you know how hard it is to do CPR on yourself? I had to bring myself back to life. From the death of my child, from all the circumstances I've been through, I had to speak life into myself. Nobody did that. I had to find a reason and a will to keep going, and not just to keep going, but to try to not fall into a poor me situation. Not a poor me story, it's a just me story. People bury kids all the time.
Right.
All the time. It's a just me story, not a poor me story. But I had to get into that. I had to learn to separate myself from earthly possessions. Every time now I pray to God, like, these are God's loans. Children's are God's loans. I had to detach from everything down here. That's why I don't care about money. I don't care about those things, because I've lost a child. I've lost the most precious thing in the world. Nothing down here is yours. And I spent enough time being selfish, and I feel like the rest of my journey here is to serve people. And I have enough information. I have enough experiences that I've gone through to make that happen. Don't let it be for nothing.
Don't let it be for nothing.
I never asked God to take my pain away from bearing a child. I asked him to make it make sense. Because I know the pain ain't going to go nowhere. And so I don't have my child, but there's people on the street that don't have a mother. Well, maybe I'll feed that child. Since my child not here to feed.
That's what I always say when I see people out, experiencing homelessness. I'm always like, that's somebody's baby.
Absolutely.
That was somebody's baby.
Somebody changed that diaper. Somebody loved them. I don't care if it was mother or father. Somebody at some point in time cared enough to, when that baby cried, somebody ran to a room and picked them up. Somebody has loved that spirit. And somebody would want that spirit to continue to be loved by somebody. And as a person who's experienced those things in the street myself, I know that I get a lot of messages and DMs from people who are like, I don't know where my loved one is, but I hope that you're taking care of them, because they want to know that someone else is loving on them when they can't be loved. They want to know that somebody out there takes care of them and cares about them.
Okay, so I love the idea that we're acknowledging that it is somebody else's baby.
Yeah.
How we need to look and put eyes on people, how we need to do something, how it's a city thing. So we know we have Mayor Karen Bass in office, and she has declared a state of emergency on homelessness. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely none. They declare everything all the time.
Okay, so let's be clear. What is a state of emergency? It is a situation in which the government is empowered to be able to put through policies that it would normally not be permitted to do for the safety and protection of its citizens. Now, what will a quote-unquote state of emergency look like for homelessness? Okay, let's talk about it. It gives Mayor Bass some power to lift red tape around the things like building affordable housing and shelters, or investing in services and resources without going through a competitive bidding process like she would under normal circumstances. So let's just be clear, because we talked about what it's going to do, what it will not do. What it will not do is that it will not bring in any additional money. So don't think because it's an emergency, all the money is coming. No, we have more power and where the money is going. And then plus, it will not grant us an influx of social workers or resources. So it's not about adding, it's more so about control and pushing what we have through. Dang. Thoughts? You didn't change your position on everything. How you feel?
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, all of that, she's going to change my position and everything. Big T laughing. And, it's all of that is fine and dandy. I don't have a problem with anything that you just read.
Right.
I'm all about the facts. If you'd have started that when there was maybe 5,000 homeless in LA County, maybe you'd have got somewhere. Let's talk about the facts. The facts are these. You have 70,000 homeless in LA County alone. Mm-hmm. You have close to 8,000, probably more if everybody really takes the census.
That's another thing.
In a 55 block radius. Okay. Each structure that you build in Los Angeles, the laws and the code permits 250 people per building. You've got 8,000 people in a 55 block radius. If you can only house 250 per structure you build, where are you going to build enough structure to house 70,000 people? That's a small city. It's become an epidemic. It's too big right now to control this way.
And I love that you said that, because that's what you said on the front page. In fact, you said, and I quote, it's not that the new mayor is not going to do her job.
Yes.
It's that she can't.
Correct.
It's gone too far.
Correct.
Basically, there are too many people in house. I like what you said.
Yes.
You said, hey, Dawn, how are we going to build up these buildings?
Correct.
Well, here's the thing. Why don't we use what we have? So it sounds like that's what KB is doing with her Inside Safe program. Let me tell you. So just as you reflected, about how many people are experiencing homelessness, we said about 66, 70,000.
Correct.
So on the 20th, that's when KB had launched her Inside Safe program, which what it is that it means that the city will use master leasing to sublease hotels and motels for property owners. Okay? So some of these hotels, motels that are just empty, let's use up these rooms. They will provide shelter for the unhoused while the city works to build more affordable housing. So right now the weather is changing. It's cold outside. I know what I felt coming out the car, coming out the garage to get in the building. What about when you're sitting out there, and let alone you may have holes on your shoes, you may not have the proper coat. Now, as well with the Inside Safe program, it's a directive will be issued to fast track affordable housing and shelter applications within 60 days. We all know you might be pushed on the back burner. But again, the reason why it's a state of emergency is because now we have rules and regulations that are supposed to enforce and push through. Let's give it a moment. Hold on. It says, now which this process will usually take 6 to 9 months for the application. So we're going from 60 days to 9 months, and this program will cost under $100 million. Now you sound like you shocked, but I'm saying this, the reason why, if we got all these motels and hotels open, rather than having other people that may, come in to rent them out, why not use them for the city? Here's the thing, she got the budget. As a business, your main thing, your focus is on the redlining. You want to ensure that if I got this room, I got this building, I'm getting the money. If the city is offering the money, what's the problem? You say, hey, Dawn, we got all these people that are on Skid Row. How can we house them? Can we be honest? You're out there. How many people are actually going to make the choice to go? Now, out of that, who's willing to go? Can we start there?
And there's a lot of situations there, and I can see the NIMBYs coming out, not in my backyard, because, again, there is red tape. Those buildings, as soon as the homeless come there, the neighbors will complain. Not in my backyard. Those are residential areas still, and that is the problem.
But they're going to have water. They're going to have shelters to shower and to get dressed. No?
Listen, they're trying to get us shut down right now. I won't even say where we are. Our new location where we are right now, the neighbors are complaining about where we are. People don't care. So she's going to come up against the NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
What do you call them, NIMBYs?
NIMBYs, not in my backyard. Not in my backyard. NIMBYs.
I love it. NIMBY. Okay, got it.
Yeah, not in my backyard. So the NIMBYs are going to come out and say, not in my backyard. And then they're going to push back. It's not that they don't have the right ideas, that it's gone too far. The reason Skid Row should be their home is because it is not a residential area. It is a business area. Here's the thing. NIMBY will not have a problem, like I was saying on your other show, with the flower market in their backyard. They're not going to have a problem with a fabric store in their backyard. Move the businesses and leave the homeless in the business district. It's not residential. There are no neighbors around to complain. Now, should businesses who have been there for 20, 30 years be forced to move because of this? Well, that is the city's fault. And this is what happens when I say it's a gangrene situation. Sometimes you lose a part of the body when you don't treat it properly and treat it right away. They should have treated this before it became a gangrene situation. 70,000 people is basically losing a leg. The city has to absorb the loss of Skid Row, and I think that budget that you're talking about should be used also to absorb the moving of some of those businesses. That leaves these big warehouses. Now we can begin to make these structural buildings for the homeless, and they most certainly can house a lot of them.
Well, can I talk to you here? I've spoken to some individuals, like I said, being on the Metro. I ran into this woman, Sandra Jeremiah, and I right outside the grocery store. And I said, hey, Sandra, I said, why are you outside? I had a representative, Ruth Londe de Verde, probably Londe Verde. She was on from this organization called PATH. If you are experiencing homelessness, call #pound 211. However, her thing is that Sandra, who was experiencing homelessness, she said, I ain't trying to go down to them shelters. They're dangerous. People are using drugs. People have become assaulted. So when you say to me, hey, Dawn, let's get this warehouse and house all these people in here, where's the safety in that? At least if I'm in a motel or hotel, I feel as though I got protection in my room. My kids are safe. There's a bed right here. But I hear you. And then I want to come to you at this. What about the whole notion, you said your whole idea is to make sure that people feel human. I understand, I see where your logic is going, saying, hey, push or make sure everybody stays in Skid Row, but wouldn't it be more of a human feel to have them be in the neighborhood? I get that people don't, but we got to help each other. When do we create the change? Because having them in a warehouse, how do you get to see the aspiration of what it looks like to have a family or just the normal things to do? Because I feel like being on Skid Row, you kind of been ostracized from society.
Yeah, I don't mean like warehouse, like bunk beds. I mean create tiny homes within that. Create their little spaces within that. Yeah, I don't mean lump them all.
I'm about to say, wait.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. I want them to have their own. I actually think one of the things I've also looked at as well with the city of Los Angeles is, and let's talk about it, the yards and yards of empty buses that have been just sitting there, the trains that have just been sitting there. I was born in 1967. I see all these old boxcar trains sitting there. Those can be converted into tiny homes. Those can be converted, and then they can do like, I think those can be converted into tiny homes, do like a couple of, like group bathrooms within there, almost like a mobile home.
And it's nothing that we haven't heard of. You hear people all the time talking about they turning school buses into a mobile home.
There's tons of empty buses out there. There's tons of empty boxcar trains. I don't understand why we aren't using what we have to create individual tiny homes for them. And by those, I say, yeah, they're going to need somewhere to put those. Okay, bring those into Skid Row. But I mean, there's a lot of options. I don't think her ideas are necessarily bad. I think everything looks good on paper, but not applicable. Let's not forget the fact that the city actually had a lawsuit against them.
Wait, for what?
For the homelessness. Remember there's somebody sued the city of Los Angeles and they had 90 days to get the homeless off the street. They had a lawsuit against them. This was the second time the city of Los Angeles was sued and told to get the homeless off the street. We knew nothing was going to happen, and people came to me. Newspapers called me, reporters called me. The city has been sued and the homeless will be off the street in 90 days. What do you think about that? I just kept working because I don't think anything, because it's not going to happen. And here we are, 2 years, 3 years later, and nothing happened to them.
So what do you say to people that say homelessness is a choice?
I say that choices come from traumatic places. I say that sometimes people do choose things, but unconsciously. There's a subconscious choice and an unconscious choice. I see how you can see it, like they're choosing to stay here. I have people that say, well, I offered them a home and they don't want to be here. They're choosing the street. Fear is traumatizing. Going into a structural building, taking on responsibilities, living that life again is scary. Women who have gotten divorced or heartbreak, they don't want to love again. It's very scary going back into something that traumatized you before. So imagine losing all your structural possessions, your worldly possessions, having to acclimate yourself to a life on the streets. And then here's an opportunity to get all that back. But what if it doesn't work? What if I don't succeed? What if it's just another failure? And by that, they would rather choose, subconsciously, unconsciously, that life on the street than to take that chance again. And it's trauma. It's nothing more than trauma. And that's where we have to work with them. That's why I don't think if you build the buildings, they still won't come. You're right. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want it. It's because they're scared.
And let's just be honest. This is not something new we heard. We hear people have been incarcerated for years.
Yeah.
Get outside and be like, I don't know what to do. And get locked back up.
Same
and
difference.
I feel comfortable here. And hey, look, listen, vitamin D is all about shedding the light. Because if you want to be better and you want to do better, you got to be able to see better.
Yeah.
Don't act like there hasn't been a time or once in your life that you didn't take an opportunity because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Absolutely.
It could have been that job. It could have been very well falling in love.
That part.
It could have been creating this idea, writing that book. even releasing the weight. You know what you got to do.
Trying to have another baby, trying to conceive again after the loss of a baby.
Don't nobody want a disappointment.
Don't nobody want a disappointment. So you would rather not get married again than to get married again. You would rather be childless to try to have a baby again and have a miscarriage. You would rather sleep on the street. Are you choosing not to have a child? No, your trauma is stopping you. Are you choosing to stay at that job with no money? No, you just don't know your worth or no value. So you're still sitting at that underpaid job. You're not choosing that. You just don't know you have options. And the options you have are kind of scary.
And
because this is what I got. And what if I take this chance on getting a higher paying job and it don't work out? I'll just stay where I'm at. I'll just stay where I'm at and accept the money I get because this is such a chance. Same thing with them. Same difference with them. I've seen them get right to the door with the key and do something stupid. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, how can we get unstuck? How do we get and remove ourselves from these situations?
Oh God, girl. And that's the bigger question, and I'm going to be real with you. I'm still working through my own trauma. I'm still trying to work on my own path of enlightenment, but I feel like I don't know how to get, sometimes when you've gotten so far underwater, it's too dangerous to come up all the way. Because you get these bubbles in your body. So lower, but slowly by slowly, someone is sharing that little air pump with you and slowly bringing you to the top. Now, you're going to look up. It's a long way. I've never tried to get to the top. What I'm trying to do is create pockets of air under the water where the people are. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't really know if it's important to get to the top. I don't know if we'll ever get healed enough to get to the top. But you can survive off of pockets of air. You can. And I think sometimes acceptance is key, and this is such a
girl.
This is such a messed up situation in with homelessness, and I think where I come from, where the place I'm moving from is just kind of working from where they're at, operating from where they're at, accepting that this is what it looks like for right now. What can I do today? I can feed you today. I can love you today. I can do your hair and stuff today, and we'll work on tomorrow.
And everybody, so oftentimes miss the importance of a right now.
Yes.
And we understand right now is where we find our peace of mind. And if they say that without a vision, the people will perish, what do you see? Yeah. Well, beauty to the streets is allowing people to see themselves right here, right now, exceedingly and abundantly. My God.
We are trying. And we've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it seems to be going well. So far, so good.
I didn't get a chance. My time is really running out. I really need to be heading out because housekeeping needs to be here. Mm. But I'm sure the people are wondering, who is Big T? Why is he always pulling up? And who is this man? Big T. Who is it?
Big T is my.
Say hi to the people. Come on,
say hi, Big T.
Come on, Big T.
You introduce yourself. You tell them who you are.
Y'all know I'm Miss Shirley's personal protection agent, her security. Big T, y'all see me on TikTok, Instagram, and all of that.
He's my personal security, ever since the incident with Skid Row and stuff, and me just being, a little known these days, I have to move a little differently, and I, I'm working at Big T is with me at 3:00 in the, huh?
How did y'all meet?
Oh, well, gosh, Big T. We brought security in. It's Skid Row. We brought in a group of security guards.
You up here blushing and stuff.
Yeah. And, and I'm going to keep it real with you. I didn't have a security guard of color. And I'm like, hey, y'all, I got to have a security guard of color down there. Like, I got to have this balance, this dynamic. I need me a brother down here because we need to have every representation down here. And Big T came along and, he's been with me. And when the incident happened in Skid Row, he was with the likes of the rappers and he came on over to the humble nonprofit side and, he's the man. He gets me, he drives me home and makes sure he opens doors and gets me to my elevator and I'm working at 2 and 3 in the morning and he's there with me 4 and 5 because I work and he's at the warehouse with me watching my back while I'm loading in the dark and watching my back while we feed in the dark. Him amongst the others.
So, Big T, what does this work mean to you?
Honestly, it means a lot to be able to see the things that she do and the impact that it has. It kind of makes me look at the situation. And like she said, I've done security with a lot of different type of celebrities as far as rappers and stuff like that. So to be on this side of the industry, it's a different view, and to see the things that she do for the community is very awesome. So it's great work.
Dang, your team be vouching. I know.
He blushing.
He turning all
He
purple and
blushing.
stuff.
Look at Big T. You got my security blushing. Security.
I said, who is this old chocolate? Some coming up
I need
here.
chocolate. He cute. He cute.
I
but-
know. Salt, pepper, ketchup. Pick it up. Yes, pick it up. What we gonna pick up now is that if you would like to check out the one and only Shirley Raines, who's bringing beauty to the streets, how can they find you?
You can go to our Instagram, our socials, beauty, the number 2, the Streetz with a Z on the end, on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, Beauty 2 Streetz on on Twitter, and our website, beautytothestreet.org. And we go live when we do our workout in the community. So we're either live on TikTok or Insta, so you can always follow along.
And what's the best way if somebody's like, oh my gosh, I just heard this. I need to make a donation right now. Where do they send it? Where do they call?
Click the link in our bio. The safest way to make a donation is always to click a link in the bio and go through the donation links we have, our Cash App, our Venmo, our PayPal. There's a lot of people out there acting like they're us these holiday seasons, so make sure you go through our website or any of our socials. Click the link in the bio. We have an Amazon wish list. You can purchase items for the homeless. You can become a monthly supporter, Patreon, because we are a nonprofit 501c3, or you could just make a financial contribution. And we have a mailing address as well where people buy gifts for some of the people they see on our lives.
What is it?
Our mailing address, it's 5050 East 2nd Street, number 14795, Long Beach, California, 90803.
And if they want to email y'all,
beautytothestreet@gmail.com.
Okay, you got it. And just in case if you want to call, can I give them numbers?
You may give them.
Okay, 562-285-7254.
Yes.
Knock, knock. Who has at the door? Is it you?
Yes, please call, please donate, please come shout out Big T and and me and donate. And hey, so we're gonna be traveling too. Can we just throw this plug in?
Yeah, I was hoping you would tell me some upcoming events.
Okay,
or
so
anything.
upcoming events, me and Big T are gonna be going to San Francisco on January the 6th to Feed What the City Eats, and we're going to be partnering with Sam's Club. They're going to be helping us sponsor the food out there. We've been working with Sam's Club, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And then me and Big T he's going to be traveling with me. My birthday is December 29th.
Yes.
And so we're traveling for my birthday because he's going to escort me everywhere. And I am.
Where y'all going?
I can't tell you. It's a surprise.
Oh my!
But what I
can
can tell you is, no, it's not that kind of surprise.
Okay.
But I'm going to go hand out makeup bags to a very deserving group of homeless women in a different city for my birthday. They've asked for. We visited cities before. They asked for makeup. I didn't have it, so we're gonna drive. He's gonna drive me down this time so I can take the makeup with me versus flying. And God bless you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna we're gonna go do makeup bags.
Beauty to the Streets is going on a nationwide tour.
Yes.
And it may be at a city near you.
It may be.
So you might want to go onto social media and check out at Beauty number 2, The Street.
Yeah.
You better catch it while it's hot.
Please.
This is
salt, pepper, ketchup.
Hey, pick it up.
Pick it up.
What does this conversation mean to you? This is the first time you came to Vitamin D. What was this like?
You know what? Well, one, your energy is amazing. And it feels good to have, you know what I like? A real platform where you can really, really talk. You have great energy.
Thank you.
And it means a lot to be able to have a place to express what we're doing. And Black women, uplifting Black women. Let's just talk about that. It's not enough queens straightening crowns. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you had me on the one show and then thought enough told me that, and the same day sent the DM. A lot of people say I'm going to have you back, but people aren't always people of the word. You said you was going to have me back, and that very day I got in, there was a DM saying, can you set this time? And actually I couldn't. I was doing something for the homeless, so you adjusted it to this day to allow me to come in this day. So
because I'm gonna make room for
you absolutely did. And I said, I'm doing something with the homeless this day, and they said, okay, well let's switch it to this day. I'm like, okay, Big T, we going this day, and
boom.
Here we are.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Big T, Shirley Raines, and me. Vitamin D.
Salt, pepper, ketchup, pick it up.
Yes.
Pick it up, bitch. Salt, pepper, ketchup, pack it up.
All right. And while you picking this up, maybe you want to be on the show, or perhaps you have an idea for a topic. I want to make sure that you go ahead and shoot an email, vitamindi@dawndayspeaks.com. Also, this is an opportunity. Do you need some advice on your love, your relationships, your life, your career? I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe you want to hear from me. Now, let's just be clear. When we talk about vitamin D, it's on the good and the bad. Why? Because if you want to be better and you want to do better, you got to be able to see better. So that means I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it G with you, okay? So shoot over that and we'll talk. And then also, while you're at it, tell somebody else that Dawn Day got a podcast. It's called Vitamin D with Dawn Day. And guess what? We out here inspiring and changing lives. And if you still listening, that means you got something from too, right? So go ahead and spread the wealth. And go ahead and leave the comment too. The stars on there, go ahead, boo, hit it, and it's done. And follow us on the go at Vitamin D Dawn Day. We're everywhere on social media, okay? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, fan base, Twitter. We outside. And then, of course, like Shirley was saying, if you want to catch me Monday through Friday, because I believe in speaking dreams into an existence, and because I'm living out my dreams, you better catch me Monday through Friday on KJLH. Yup, 102.3 KJLH right here in Los Angeles, California. And if you're not here, download the free mobile app. Don't play with me. Google Store, Apple Store. I'm outside. Okay? 4:30 to 6, okay? It's time to go. I gotta get out the door. So follow me at Dawn Day Speaks. That's Dawn, DAI Speaks on all social media, so you can get a pic of me, baby. Or I gotta go. You know I always say, I'm in the business of making dreams come true. And I damn sure ain't gonna forget about mine. So until next time, always remember, you are your greatest asset.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about